We're here on RealAgriculture.com today for the beef market update with Ann Dunford of Gateway Livestock Exchange. Welcome today, Ann.
Hi, Sean.
Okay, Ann, we can't go very far in going anywhere without talking about the currency.
Yeah, big move. Of course, last week we saw the dollar move to its highest levels here in 2009, and the same continues as we start off this week after we just finished our Thanksgiving holiday, and of course flirting up near that 97-cent area. Didn't close over that, but most certainly very strong dollar. And for anybody in the Canadian cattle business or any kind of livestock production in Canada that's export based, then obviously we know significant negative impact on Canadian cattle prices.
So would you say that this has snuck up on everybody fairly quickly, or it's kind of what we thought was going to happen has sort of come to fruition and now we're trying to figure out how we're going to deal with it?
I think those of us that have been watching what's been going on, of course, after the collapse of the dollar last fall when the whole financial world kind of came apart, and then the bailout and stimulus packages that have happened since, especially in the US, and what's gone on globally as we've gotten past, quote, the worst of the recession. Most certainly the experts have been telling us for some time that the dollar was going to strengthen. When and timing is always questionable with when markets move, but it was and has been on an uptrend for some time now, so the fact that it's run higher faster than we think isn't really out of the expectations of what the charts might tell us. Having said that, I guess nothing goes straight up forever, so lots are watching for a setback or a slowdown in the dollar, but it is what it is today, Sean, and it's a 97-cent dollar coming at not a very good time from a marketing perspective as far as when we move our calves, for example. So
from a calf marketing period, dollar going kind of an adverse way, we have sort of seen this before though.
Well, we have, and unfortunately back in the fall of 07 we saw the dollar move, that's when it cracked up over par, and it came at the time when we saw the calf run come on hard. Of course, 70% of our calf marketings in Western Canada happen in that last 3 months of the year. So from a timing perspective where our volume happens, this is it from a grassroots or a rancher's perspective, and it's extremely unfortunate. A lot of these producers don't have other options or have not looked at in the past other options to not maybe market calves in the fall. I mean, a lot basically have to. So very unfortunate timing, and of course in the fall of 07 calf prices came down as the dollar went up, and unfortunately it looks like the same thing's going to go on if this dollar continues to run.
What about south of the border in the United States? What are we seeing down there?
Well, of course, remember in the U.S., I mean, we've got fat cattle prices, feeder cattle prices, corn prices, and those three things interact to make or not make profitability in the industry kind of just really nuts and bolts. But here we've got the extras, the Canadian dollar. So in the U.S. they haven't had the big move in the dollar. They've seen fat cattle prices come down, they've seen corn prices come down, and they've adjusted feeder cattle according. So the bottom line is, in the U.S. today, you can buy cattle and manage the risk and lock even profit in on the spring, off the spring live cattle futures market. So that hasn't been the case here in Canada for some time now. We haven't been able to buy cattle to, quote, make them work at the time that they're bought, and that's been a struggle, and of course continues to put a pile of risk in the industry here.
So are we still seeing the same sort of numbers of feeder cattle headed south as we were before?
Oh, no, by no stretch whatsoever. We've seen a combination of a few things. Cool has put a pretty good stop to a large number of feeder cattle moving into the U.S. just because they do sell at a discount. They have to be segregated. Only certain feed packing plants take them, that kind of thing. So that's been a negative deterrent. And then as well, we've still had kind of this cost of gain issue where we have seen cost of gains most certainly coming down in Western Canada, but this big impact of the Canadian dollar has most certainly hampered the amount of trade that we've seen. On a fat cattle side, cattle have stayed here in Western Canada. The packing plants have been killing more young cattle than they did this time last year, and that's kept cattle here in basis narrow. So we are seeing a lot less cattle, both fats and feeders, move south here in 09 versus 08.
So from this point to year end, things that we need to be thinking about is just kind of watching that dollar and the feed prices. And
well, yeah, it's unfortunate. You know, I think for those buying calves, they're going to be most certainly looking at trying to buy them lower to make things work, because there's just nothing profitable out there at all with this high dollar. On the flip side, the rancher selling these calves right now is looking at the check and saying, okay, this isn't a good situation whatsoever. So it's a struggle. We're going to have all sides of the industry really at odds as far as being able to be in a profitable position, which is very, very frustrating for our industry.
Yeah. So from a rancher perspective, based on some of those results this fall and now where the dollar is going and what some of the outcome we may see there price-wise, can we forecast we'll continue to see the cows come into town?
Well, that's the trend so far, and I guess now as we start into weaning, I guess we'll really see whether that happens or not. I mean, arguably we've seen that go on, especially through 2008 and through the first half of 2009. There's been, for drought reasons, for economic reasons, all the rest of it, we've seen lots of cows come to town. Now as we head into the fall of 2009, I think a lot of producers were kind of hoping for maybe a sign of something turning. This strong dollar is not going to give them that sign, and so you got to wonder if the cows come next.
Okay, thank you very much. Thanks very much, Ann. If anybody wants more information on Ann Dunford or Gateway Livestock Exchange, they can go to gatewaylivestockexchange.com. Thanks, Ann.
Thanks, Sean.